Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's Hamza, and in today's video, I'm gonna give you guys an update on the pending lawsuit on my company. So for those of you who may not know, I actually run a furnished apartment short-term rental business similar to an Airbnb, and I have over 50 units here in Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas is the world's largest medical center, which means we get a lot of doctors and a lot of patients that move in and out of Houston, Texas. And for that reason, a couple of years ago, I decided that I wanted to provide short-term furnished apartments to these doctors, nurses, and patients. If you want more information on the lawsuit that was placed against me, you can watch an earlier video in which I talk about that lawsuit in complete detail. I actually go over the lawsuit page by page, just like I will today with my attorney's response. For those of you who are aware of the situation, you guys know that this guest did not actually fall inside my apartment unit, but in fact fell on a stairwell outside the building. Just to be clear, I don't actually own the entire building. I just rent a few units from that apartment community and then re-rent them out to guests who want to stay short term. Before I go over the response that my attorney drafted for this case, I'm quickly gonna give you guys a brief background on what happened. So basically, the story is that I had a guest who stayed at my apartment through VRBO. VRBO is a platform that is very similar to Airbnb, and I get some of my bookings through them every year. The guest seemed to be a good person, was in town for some medical reasons, stayed at my apartment, ended up falling on the stairwell outside the building, reached out to me very politely and told me that she wanted a refund, which I issued for the inconvenience. Now in this situation, I was very understanding, issued the refund based on her injury and her not being able to stay at the apartment community. So in essence, this tenant paid me $0 for the time that she stayed at my apartment. Anyways, a few months later, I get hit by a lawsuit and the tenant is asking for $1 million. I found this very interesting because VRBO's insurance policy was exactly $1 million. Now, after going over the lawsuit in much detail, I realized that the attorney that she had hired was using very generic language and was suing me, VRBO, and the apartment community for the exact same amount of damages. Even the verbiage in the lawsuit was copy and pasted for each one of the parties. And so there was a lot of confusion and a lot of things that actually didn't make sense in this case. And what's happening so far is that VRBO's attorneys and my company's attorneys are actually communicating and handling this case together, which I think is awesome. We have two teams of attorneys fighting a claim that should have never been my claim to begin with. Now I'm quickly gonna go over some of the verbiage in the lawsuit just so you guys know what my attorneys are saying. So, general denial. A general denial is basically my attorneys telling the court that we deny any of these damages and anything that was mentioned in the lawsuit against me, which means they basically want the lawsuit to get thrown out of court. Now that's obviously the first paragraph of this response. I am going to go into detail on why they think the court should throw out this case. The first thing that they're saying is that it is the plaintiff's fault that she fell off the stairs. She could have been occupied or intoxicated rather than the stairwell not being lit correctly. The other thing that they mentioned in this document, which I thought was very interesting because the attorney had asked for $1 million in damages, is that here in Texas, we actually have a limitation of liability on medical expenses, which means my insurance company would only pay for the damages that this person suffered during their medical procedure. And it seems like this person was covered by medical insurance. So my insurance company would technically only be liable for the portion that she paid out of pocket, not the $1 million that her attorney is asking for. Now this is where things got interesting. My attorney is claiming that the defendant, me, is going to be going after the plaintiff for damages. That's so interesting. What kind of damages are you guys talking about? Limitations on recovery of loss of earnings. Now this is something that we have here in Texas and is a rule. So my attorney decided to exercise this right on my behalf. And this is basically me, the defendant, going after the plaintiff for any loss of earnings due to this lawsuit. And this could be a variation of things that occurred after that lawsuit hit me. It could be things like loss of earnings or any other damages I may have incurred in the time that this lawsuit was going on. Now I can think of a few things. I could probably make up a few things as well, but I'm not gonna do that because I'm just interested in seeing how this lawsuit is gonna play out. And the lawsuit ends by saying that these these are the reasons that my company is not liable for the damages. Now, obviously, I only covered bullet points to keep you guys updated because you guys have been asking for an update for so long. I did review the lawsuit in much detail, and I can tell you that I really like the attorney who's representing me. He seems to have taken the time to truly understand what the damages really were and make sure that what they're asking for is actually allowed by Texas law. Now, obviously, the reason I'm sharing all of this with you is so that if ever in your business you guys get struck by a lawsuit, do not be alarmed. This is probably going to happen once or twice in your entrepreneurial journey. Just make sure you have the correct coverage and make sure you have good representation. And of course, I will keep you guys updated as this lawsuit progresses. Once again, my name is Hamza, and I'll see you guys next video.